Welcome back, students, to our class of BA Part 1 English Literature. We are studying Paper 1 Section B, and in my last lecture we had studied about, which was an introductory lecture, we studied the Indian poetess Toru Dutt, and we understood about her next poem, that is Our Casuarina Tree. And because already in the poem of Lotus, which is also prescribed in your syllabus, and we have covered that, we read about a background biography of the poet. And I also mentioned that why it is important to know about the background of the poem. And as I have already told you in the introductory lecture to this lesson, Our Casuarina Tree, that why this poem is an autobiographical poem, and what are the different features, the symbols and the form and the structure of the poem. And in this poem, like the Lotus, which was also about elements from nature, we find that Toru Dutt is a poetess of nature. Here again in Our Casuarina Tree, we find many elements of nature which she appreciates. And as it is an autobiographical poem, it recalls certain aspects of her own life, because when she returned to India in 1873, the Dutt family took up residence at their house in Macintola Street in Calcutta. The surroundings of their house in Calcutta was very conducive to the growth of Toru's poetic faculty, because it was abounded by elements of nature, birds, flowers, fruits, immensely appealed to her, and they were all there for her. And in this poem, she displays her power to describe natural beauty in poetry. And the young poetess took fancy for this casuarina tree in her garden, which was the only tree. And this poem is a piece of lasting value and has a great freshness to it. And because it is autobiographical, it is a subjective poem and reveals the love Toru Dutt had for nature, uh, because she describes it in detail, the casuarina tree, which was in her garden house in Calcutta. To her, this tree stands as a symbol of time and is a remembrance of her dead brother and sister, and also reflects that how Toru Dutt, was a poet of nature. So, let us first read the beauty of this poem in these lines of stanza 1. Like a huge python winding round and round, the rugged trunk indented deep with scars, up to its very summit near the stars. A creeper climbs, in whose embraces bound no other tree could live. But gallantly the giant wears the scarf, and flowers are hung in crimson clusters, all the boughs among, whereon all day are gathered bird and bee, and oft at night the garden overflows with one sweet song that seems to have no close, sung darkling from our tree while men repose. So here we find that very pictorial imagery has been created by the poetess, and you can very well imagine the way she has likened, uses a simile like a huge python. So the use of the word like is a comparison between the python, which is a very huge snake, and the creeper, which moves round and round the trunk, the rugged trunk. Rugged means the rough, because it is an old casuarina tree, so the trunk becomes rough with age. And this creeper, like a python, because what is a python is a big snake, and when it twines itself around something, then the image which appears in our mind, similarly, this creeper moves round and round along the tree. and it has indented deep with scars. So the scars or the signs of that creeper which moves on the trunk have been left on the as deep scars, deep with scars up to the very summit. Summit means height, near the star. So it, because it's a very tall tree, so it has been explained by the poet as near the stars. It's not literally near the stars, but it means it's a very tall tree, and the creeper, like a python winding itself on the object, the creeper also moves around the tree trunk and climbs up till the summit. And if any other tree would have been there, then maybe the creeper, because there are many creepers in the plant kingdom which are parasitic in nature and they thrive on the food of the parent tree or plant, and they suck the juice from that tree, and then the main tree may also die because all the nutrition is taken by the creeper. So here maybe it is referring to this biological fact about the plant kingdom, but this tree is so strong that it could allow the creeper to move around it. Not only that, but gallantly, bravely, like a brave warrior. So here also personification of the casuarina tree, but gallantly, bravely, the giant refers again to the size of the casuarina tree. It's a huge tree, wears the scarf. So again a metaphoric language, just like a woman would wear a scarf which may have flowers on it. Similarly, the creeper which has flowers of red color on it, and when it moves up to the summit of the tree, it appears as if a woman is wearing a scarf. So the giant wears the scarf, and flowers are hung in crimson clusters, all the boughs among. So among all the branches of the casuarina tree, we find the red crimson colored flowers of the creeper hanging on it, whereon all day are gathered bird and bee. So this is a tree which not only is in itself is so huge, it has given place for the creeper to climb, but also there are many birds and bees and different animals which thrive on this tree. And often, and oft is the short form of often, that is many times, at nights the garden overflows. The garden overflows with one sweet song that seems to have no close. So there is this the whole garden is filled with the music of the birds which are sitting on the casuarina tree, and the music is continuous as if it will never close. Sung darkling from our tree while men repose. Repose means rest. So in these opening lines, Toru Dutt is able to create this wonderful description of the casuarina tree that grew in her house garden, which was surrounded by this creeper, and it is the simile, use of the simile like python like creeper. And so this casuarina tree is also metaphorically described like a true warrior who's wearing a muffler around its neck or a scarf, and there are flowers on it. So the melodious song of the bird also is sung throughout. And the rhyme scheme of this 11 line stanza, as I have mentioned earlier, is A, B, B, A, C, D, D, C, E, 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 because the last three lines they rhyme in the same manner. So you can just feel that you are watching this tree in the garden. If we just go into the deeper analysis of stanza 1, we find that the image of the tree has been created very beautifully, and the poet remembers the tree being wound by this python-like creeper. The poet states that no other tree would have sustained this hold for it is too strong, but her tree did. And the giant, the tree has proudly worn those scars like a scarf, representing its strength. And the poet also says that it is filled with crimson flowers in every bough like a crown that invited birds and bees. So it's a beautiful creation of this imagery in the first stanza, and you can really imagine Toru Dutt enjoying this tree in her garden of Calcutta home with flowers on the tree top and the birds and the music which surrounds. So naturally, this was something very precious to her in her memories of a childhood. And as we move on to the further stanzas, we'll find that how this simple memory of the tree from just a casuarina tree, how this becomes our casuarina tree, because it will have meaning much deeper than just a simple poem of nature. It becomes a poem of remembrance, of nostalgia, and of bonds between siblings. So, in my next lecture, I will continue with stanza 2 and understand how the narrative of this poem moves. By that time, do read this stanza once again, and before coming for the next class, do read the stanza 2 too. Thank you.